So here I am. This is my apartment for 8 years now, and I am finally moving out of Los Angeles, California. It's a lot of mixed feelings and emotions. This apartment itself got me pretty sick, chronic sinusitis, both to mold, bad air quality. There was been noisy neighbors at times, here and there for months. I had a roommate. Things kind of ended ugly, unfortunately, with us, but this is a new chapter in my life, basically, and it's going to be a good adventure. My heart is always going to be with California, but I am also looking forward to being home closer to family on the East Coast. And and I certainly will try to visit Los Angeles when I can. Yeah, I'm just gonna go around the apartment just to wish it well and say goodbye. Bye. I had to take my mom to the airport first thing in the morning and take her to the Los Angeles LAX airport and then drive back to Burbank, California, where my dad was, as you can see, very sound, peacefully asleep. Afterwards, we went to Porto's Bakery when they opened up, and we were very tempted with all of the wonderful sweets and treats, but we ultimately had their breakfast menu, and it's really delicious. That is one of the big things I'm going to miss Los Angeles the most is Porto's Bakery. It was right next to close to where I live, along with Humble Cookie. Since I brought my parents with me to Los Angeles, we just kept going back to Porto's Bakery for lunch all the time. So our first pit stop that we were going to do on day one over in Tucson, Arizona, we're going to stay at the Holiday Inn Express there. We're getting on the freeway and we're going to pass Pasadena. We went to Glendale and then to Pasadena, and I've been over there lots of times, of course, throughout my time in Los Angeles. As my dad was taking us down to the trip, we were on the I-10 to the interchange of 215, and this is where we can find all of the windmills, the solar panels. Things started to get a lot more desert-like. We were stopping over at the San Gorgonio Pass Wind Farm on Interstate 10 East, and the terrain just became very desert-like. First thing that we started to realize very quickly was we could not be using regular gas stations. We had to make sure that we would stop at truck-friendly gas stations because we were carrying a 16-foot Penske truck along with the carry-on for my car. We did make a pit stop at a rest area in County of Riverside, historic landmarker, Willie Well. Probably say you have to be mindful of where rattlesnakes are, although we never saw any, thank goodness. We stayed on the Interstate 10 in Riverside, Arizona. I really commend anybody that lives in Arizona. We did pass Phoenix, Arizona, and of course the beautiful little fair stayed there. But I certainly would want to live there, though, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, when we finally got to the Holiday Inn, probably around 11 o'clock at night, and this is where my dad tried to park in between two trucks, and then, of course, right up next to us were these other cars, and it was just, we were right up bumper to bumper with these people, and it was just not a good thing. I told my dad that you can never do this again. It took, I think, almost an hour and a half just to get us to that parking spot. From, as you can see, this between that red truck and the white truck was a good thing I was there. Otherwise, I think that my dad would have had an accident on his own. For day 2, our pit stop will be El Paso, Texas. We did leave the hotel. The food and coffee wasn't really anything special.
Yes, sir. Now remember, another way to get in, you have your handle, pull yourself up like that. See?
Yeah.
Now, let's try to get our ducks in a row.
And now we're getting back on Interstate 10 East. The terrain, again, was very, very desolate, but as you can see here, the rocks really got us. It was really amazing how these Dragon Mountains, as they call it, the Texas Canyon, Arizona. It's between Pinson and Wilcox on the 10 East Interstate. I know that the Planet of the Apes, a 1968 movie, was filmed in Arizona. This isn't where they filmed it, but that was just a big historic land area. Now, the mountains themselves, near the town of Bowie, they had that smoky-like quality to them, not the same as like the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we finally enter New Mexico, and it still has that desert-like quality, but nothing compared to the way it was in Arizona. And we passed this monumental Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument, and it's on the southwestern New Mexico area, borderline rest stop area. There wasn't really hardly a whole lot of people. The fountain there was probably the most charming thing. I did really like how it was very welcoming with using sort of the Mexican style Italian architecture, and they had nice picnic areas, but it was a pretty hot day though. I remember that very vividly. And we started to get back on the Oregon Mountains east, Las Cruces, New Mexico. This bird statue is called the Roadrunner sculpture and is over the Las Cruces, New Mexico. Many people do stop at that area to take pictures. We weren't ones to actually do that. The desert became also very interesting too because it would be very greenery, and also too it would have the dirt like debris, and that's just before we get entering Texas. And this, of course, is Western Texas, which is extremely different from Eastern Texas. Western Texas is very much more desert-like. And our pit stop was El Paso, Texas. We made the decision to quickly try and park somewhere a bit further away from everybody and close to where the trucks were. Most of the places that we stayed at, we used Uber Eats with my account, and I paid for the food. I was reimbursed for the end, which was nice, obviously because, I was unemployed. Our next pit stop was Abilene, Texas, and it was going to be at another Holiday Inn Express. And we were going to get back on this Interstate of 10, and as you could see, my dad started to sing. When he gets bored, he usually will try sometimes singing or just to keep himself awake, because this was about 10 to an 8-hour drive sessions. With all the stopping and starting that we had to do to double check to make sure the straps were on the car, as well as just going to the bathroom and freshening up and having a little bit of light lunch at the gas stations, that was really good. And this is when we start to see oil rigs and the Interstate 20 near Westbrook and Colorado City, Texas. We're about 80 to 90 miles west of Abilene, and we see the wind solar panels. Finally, we got to our destination between around 8 or 9, and once again we did park further away, and unfortunately there was a lot of disturbant noise. People were playing loud music outside their cars. The receptionist did call the police. They did stop, but it was a disruption of our time there. Our next pit stop day was going to be Holiday Inn Express, Little Rock, Arkansas. We stayed on the interstate between Northeast Texas, or on Interstate 20, and we were passing the Fort Worth downtown area. I actually did like this area too. It looked like it was a very potential place to I wouldn't mind if I had to live in a big city again in Texas, that would be probably the good option. And this is interesting to me. There was a different road on the right side in East Texas that you can actually get on, so it wouldn't really be officially like the freeway, but it's still close to where that area is. And there's a lot of farmland community with cows. I really did like East Texas if I had to live somewhere else. And we finally made it to our pit stop, and again, we actually had to park right outside the hotel. We had to park close to where a bowling alley was, and this is one I was a little bit more nervous about. I always wanted to double check to make sure that nobody was going to try to break into the truck. We did have fish and chips. It was from Uber Eats. It was very nice. That was my first time my dad actually had tried fish and chips. Our next pit stop day was going to be Lebanon, Tennessee. We passed the Mississippi River, and we finally into the border over at Memphis, Tennessee. We're passing Memphis, Tennessee now, and on our way to Nashville. And as you can see, this is where we're really starting to see the fall season. I was a bit nervous that I was going to miss all the fall. This is at the end of October, and we were going to be on the road during Halloween night. I love Halloween so much, and that year I wasn't able to do Halloween Horror Nights or even doing my Halloween costume. I just literally skipped the whole holiday. If I had to move to a different state, Tennessee would certainly be one of those that it feels close to home. We did stay at another Holiday Inn. With this one, of course, we had to park further away. It did take some time. We had to ask permission, make sure, because it was a much smaller parking lot. Finally, we were going to get into our next day with the County Inn and Suites. So no longer Holiday Inn Express, but just the County Inn. So this was sort of a brand new one, and this was actually one of my favorite ones that we stayed at. And I regret now not taking any pictures of the place, but it was a nice inn that we stayed at. On our way to Roanoke, Virginia, you could start to see more of the Blue Ridge Mountains coming into our way. This is really where things are just starting to feel very breathtaking. I was able to take a little out of focus picture of Welcome to Virginia sign. I wish I was able to get the actual footage of it, but you never know when those signs come up though. And we're en route on Interstate 81, and then of course my dad starts to sing to keep himself entertained to stay awake.
We'll be coming around mountain.
And then we finally made it to our pit stop, and there was a Mexican restaurant. We decided not to do that. I think we got Jersey Mike's. I did treat ourselves because it was Halloween night. We did watch Weapons on television. We did celebrate Halloween in our own unique way. And finally, we're on our way to Palmyra, Virginia, definitely getting into those beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains from Roanoke to Lexington. And then finally coming up to the storage bin. It did take a few hours to get everything in there. And of course, we returned to the Penske truck and the carry-on in Charlottesville, Virginia, and that's where we left it. And that concludes our journey cross country from California all the way to Virginia. It took a week to do so, and it cost $10,000 to do so. This is definitely a new chapter for myself, and I look forward to seeing what 2026 has in store for me.